verses 3 down through 5. He's talking about the pardon that we had received. And what he's saying here, whenever he says that you once were this and you once were that, he's saying that we have to remember who we were before Christ. So let me ask you a question. Why in the world are we surprised when people who don't know God have a political view that's contrary to Scripture? Why does that shock us? Why does it shock us when lost people act like lost people? It should not. Can I tell you what shocks me? Whenever we act like them. Whenever we engage in this stuff and we act just like them, we get in the mud with them. It should not be named among us. That's what Paul is saying here. Our reasoning for this entire discourse, this whole discussion, is the gospel. What Jesus has done for us should compel us to love others. Listen to this text. Colossians chapter 4, he said, continue earnestly in prayer, being vigilant in it with thanksgiving. Meanwhile, praying also for us that God would open to us a door for the word to speak the mystery of Christ, for which I'm also in chains. And here's the clincher. That I may make it manifest as I ought to speak. In other words, I can't just be quiet about this. I ought to speak. He said, walk in wisdom toward those who are outside, redeeming the time. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one. We always lose when we become judgmental and haughty, no matter the discussion and topic. This does not, however, please hear me, mean that we remain silent whenever our leaders have abandoned scriptural principles for our nation. We should not. We cannot. Again, we take back to our founding. That's how our founding happened the way that it did. Men and women of renown, of faith, of courage, of boldness stood up against the evils of the day. This is why the church cannot be silent on these issues.